Abraham and tell him 400 years before I will give you the land. This generation is the most impatient generation. We call the God of Abraham our God. They say you will be a governor. You say it must be you. God told Abraham, I will give you the whole land. But you know you're my friend. I will tell you something. Say, what is it? Say, it won't be you. And there will be 4 generations. But before it will even happen, your children will suffer. Your children will suffer. They will deal with them very seriously. They will serve under tax masters. Do what they will do to them. But don't worry. You see this land? Trust me, I'll give it to you. God is afraid to talk to this generation. This is the generation of Hezekiah. Men who want to live and die and don't care what will happen to the next generation. Men who ask for extra 15 years and the generation unborn will suffer for 70 years because of the choices they are making. That's the generation of Christians we have today. We don't care what happens when we are gone. Ibu n'onye anyị na-enye ekele. Chimi bụ n'onye anyị na-aja mma. Eze ibu n'onye mụ na-enye ekele ọma. Chimi bụ onye mụ na-aja mma. Eze ọ bụ gị bụ onye mụ na-enye ekele. Jehova ọ bụ gị bụ onye mụ na-aja mma. Ibu onye mụ na-enye ekele. Chimi bụ onye mụ na-aja mma. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care whether God will take glory or not. We just care about our immediate needs. It is evil to find a parent who don't care about what happens when they are dead. You are giving birth to children. You don't care what will become of their future. This generation needs to get back to God in truth and in spirit. No generation has ever been afforded with the information we have, the mercy and the grace we've enjoyed. Yet, no generation has ever undermined God like us. This is a generation of robbers. We no longer steal, we rob. The generation before us were stealing from God, they were hiding. Our generation are robbing God face to face. We come with all the arms and ammunition. We look into his eyes. Even God is afraid. He sees the kind of arsenal we have deployed. Even God. Jesus died 2,000 years ago. He knows if you are come now, we will make sure he will resurrect. This generation would have arrested the angels that would have come to roll away the stones. This generation. A very dangerous generation. Because this generation, the soldiers of his time, we are manually operating. This generation use chemical. They have chemical weapons. They have biological weapons. They would have planted something at the entrance of that tomb. As he wants to wake up, he will suffocate. This generation, a wicked generation. A generation that can invent something that will end up as COVID-19 and they are not bothered. They will go into a laboratory room and they will invent something that will terrorize the world. Even they themselves will not be able to manage it. This generation. The only generation that can rig election and the people that voted will accept the rigging. This generation. They will computerize their evil. You will glorify God for it unknown to you. This is the only generation that have enough technology to harmonize the church. You will never notice the absence of God. Rhymes and rhythm. You think God is in church. You don't know he has stopped coming. This generation. This is the only generation you'll be taught how to present the gospel. In fact, even if the devil is talking through you, people will shout amen. People will hug you and say you are Jesus. This generation. This generation. This generation. This generation of packaging and branding and rebranding. This generation. This generation that we can change your complexion. We can bleach out your thumbprints. We can bleach out your retina. Change another one. This only generation, you'll be watching films. You think it's a joke. Somebody will enter into the system with another person's retina. The system will allow them to pass. True or false? This generation. This generation. This generation. We need revival. We need Jesus to be revealed. And it will require our prayers and our sincere prayers. You and I. As I leave you, think about this. What will your children hear about God? The next generation, what kind of God will be presented to them? If we in our time are struggling to even lay hold of who God is, what will the next generation hold on to? An artificial God, a golden calf in the wilderness. That's what we're building. A God made with gold because of the impatience of our time. Nobody wants to wait for God for 40 days. Moses going to the mountain. You'll be there. By the time you come back and worshiping what you want. That's why this is the only generation that when you go to church you don't like, you go to another church. If God delay your miracle for 2 weeks, it's happening somewhere 2 days. This generation. That's why pastors are joining occult kingdom, looking for power. Because this is a generation that have no patience for God. If God meets Abraham now, Abraham won't follow him. Imagine God telling Abraham today, it will take 400 years for you to take Abuja. It's not worth following. When he can do something by himself and take it, he will tell God, the kingdom suffer violence. The violent take it by force. God, 90 days fasting, I will take it. Why should I wait for 400 years when in 90 days I can handle it? This generation, you tell a sister to wait that God will give her husband, she will look at you. I have good legs. All I need are mini skirts. They won't understand what you're talking about. This generation that can use face masks to cover their face, whereas they are walking naked. I wish COVID-19 is something that has to do with the places we need to cover. Wicked generation. They invented what will close the nose and leave the body naked. This generation. Because they know that if they invent what they will say, every woman and man cover, if your body is exposed, you will die. The advertisement will not work again. They know pornography will not work again. So they will not invent those ones. It's to cover nose, cover mouth, so that prayers will not be offered. Because they know that is a church prayer. So if they cover our nose and our mouth, they shut us down in prayer. They know that if they say distant, what do they call it again? Social distancing. Church will not gather. They invented it. And my foolish brothers and sisters were the first to embrace it. And they criticized pastors for opening church. But they were looking for clubs that were opened by the weekend. This generation. This generation. This is the only generation that will go to school for 4 years. Every day go to class and sit down for 45 minutes and listen to a man who can't even solve his own problem. And yet come to church and can't sit for 1 hour to hear the waste message and it's boring. This generation. To receive a certificate after 4 years that cannot get them a job. Get them a job that the salary cannot solve any problem. Many of them are graduates with that certificate and they're looking for entrepreneurship to do. Yet for those 4 years, they took all the counsel, all the instruction given to them. They carried it out carefully to collect one paper. One paper. And yet the word that will change their life, they are tired to hear it. This generation. The generation that a man who stumbles into money and buys a car looks at another man and asks him to know who I am. This generation. This generation. This generation. This generation. This is the only generation that can come to pastor and ask us, if I give, what will be given back to me? This generation, this generation is tired of God settling them. If pastor have no settlement, they can't settle down. This generation. This is the only generation people are coming to church on Sunday. They're asking, will they give us lunch after church? You say there will be class after service. They say, will there be food to eat to keep us waiting? The generation of our fathers and our fathers' fathers will tell God, visit me or I go nowhere. This generation, they don't need God's visit. They need God's food. No manner. No manner. You want us to have manners and respect ourselves, give us manner. If you can't give us food, we will remain fools. This generation. The only times we coordinate is when we have food. The only time we believe God. One person comes to me, he said, I bought 20 cars after prayer was over. That's when people jump up and they believe there is God. If they stay for 1 week and there's no testimony, they begin to doubt whether God ever existed. This generation. This abracadabra generation. We need revival. This is the only generation that members will look at your car and determine whether God is with you or not. When I had no car, a man came to church and refused to enter. Asked the person who brought him, where is your pastor's car? He said he doesn't have a car. Your pastor is tricky. He said yes. He does not have a car. He said, and you think God can solve my problem through such a pastor? He walked away. And today we are complaining that pastors are buying private jet. They need to buy it to convince people that their God can do it. You don't know. This generation. This is the only generation. If we do wooden chair, you won't have members. This generation. If we Catholic church where I was born, it was wooden chair. Even Catholic now is buying, upgrading their chairs. Plastic chairs, maybe don't go. Have a church without AC. There are members that won't come. No matter how much God you have there. If you like, let your word be directly from Jesus Christ. This generation. This generation. That if pastor preach the truth, your members will hate you. And they feel uncomfortable. This is the only generation that tells you they have a private life. How can you serve God without your private life? When God is the God who lives on the inside and you don't want him inside. How? This is the only generation that made the work of the pastor so difficult. A generation of deceivers. I now believe that the man who is saved in Christ has made heaven. But I wish I was still where I used to be before. Where I know that God will call everybody to stand and judge us. And the things you have done will be what we use for you to go to heaven and hell. Trust me, nobody will make heaven. If we remove the grace of God, you know that all of us are deceivers. Everybody sitting down. If you have a Sunday clothes, you're a deceiver. If you have a Sunday clothes, how clothes that you wear on Sundays, you keep them only for Sundays, you are the greatest deceiver of the time. If what you wear Monday to Friday, you can wear it to church, you have deceived your pastor. You're a deceiver. Calm down. Because you get why. That's why you can wear it to church, but you can wear Monday to Friday. And the pastor comes out and say, wear your naked things and come, let me see you the way you are. They say that church is a naked church. We prefer a church that is covered in deception than the one that has uncovered their hypocrisy. This generation. Help me bow down your head. You are the Shekinah glory. You are the I am that I am. You are the Shekinah glory. Oh, you are the I am that I am. You are the Shekinah glory. Oh, you are the I am that I am. Come and do it again. Your revival again. Your manifest presence again. Oh, come and do it again. Come and circumcise our hearts. Oh, give us a heart of flesh. Oh, remove the heart of stone. Oh, come and do it again. Ike mekwara mu ya ọzọ. Eze bịa mekwara mu ya ọzọ. Eze bịa mere mu ya ọzọ. Come and do it again. Father, we need your glory.